I know, I love it, right? Okay, I just started recording, so you can keep your video off. Okay, says it's recording. Okay. I'm still unfamiliar with the record feature, so. All right, you don't need to raise your hand because it's just you. And I'm not going to make you, Tanisha, I'm not going to make you sign into this link because I have your contact information and I know who you are and that you're here. That was just for us to be able to do attendance for the teachers. So I'll just let Kim know that you came.
And Tisha, though, if you want, I did put a survey in the comments. If you want some time today to take that survey, it gives us a little bit of background on, we would do it now and then we'll do a follow-up survey at the end of our few weeks of doing this.
Okay. So I know sometimes when you close out the Zoom meeting, I don't have access to that chat anymore.
Right.
So do you want me to do it now or?
Yeah, just do it sometime during the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even I know if you click on it, it'll open up
a new browser.
Yeah, in your browser, and then you can do it later.
Okay, I have open.
Okay.
Thanks.
And
all right.
Tanisha, I know you know April. And so I am the other social worker at Stottlemyre. I do part Stottlemyre and part the alternative high school. I am new to the district and actually to school social work. I originally come from doing more medical social work. That's how I know very much about Oakland, our CPS workers in Oakland County, because we work hand in hand at the hospital. So I still do a little contingent work at University of Michigan Hospital. I used to work at Children's Hospital in Detroit and multiple agencies within Wayne County. And I do have a 1-year-old little girl.
And I actually, I've been at Stottlemyre since 2012. I actually started working in Head Start. And then I moved 3 years ago to the ECS and ECP programs, which is the birth to 3, and then the 3 to 5 special ed preschool. I've worked at a domestic violence shelter. I've actually worked in foster care, and I was a children's outpatient therapist for many years. And both of my kids are in high school. My senior is actually Tanisha. She started in the ECS program for speech. So I have been where you have been with the ECS program. So, and then my son is a 9th grader this year. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, so this very first, you're gonna see a lot of slides the same, Tanisha, because what I did was I took the slides that I did for the ECS group that I did before Thanksgiving, and we're just doing them again. We expanded upon them a little bit. So we're gonna talk about routines and schedules, what are the difference, how they're created, and what will potentially work for your family. So here's our agenda for today. So we're going to talk about the difference between routines and schedules. Why are they important? And then give some different examples, and then we'll have a time for a question and answer session at the end. And I know you have actually seen these videos, Tanisha, because you were in the group, but I do need to play them again because we are recording, because we're going to share the recording for families that haven't been here. So we're going to play this video. Hopefully it comes up.
Welcome to the Explain It series. This is a BCUH early childhood resource for families.
And I need
The topic for
to
this video is routines and schedules.
turn up the sound. Hold on.
Routines and schedules are an important part of everyone's life. We all have our daily routines, and we all use schedules throughout the day. It's important to understand that while routines and schedules might sound the same, these are two different concepts. Routines are simply the tasks we complete throughout the day. For example, my morning routine includes a cup of coffee, a shower, and getting dressed, while my evening routine includes watching my favorite TV show, having dinner, and reading before bed. Schedules, on the other hand, help us understand what the expectation is and helps us transition from one activity to another. My day can get pretty busy sometimes, and I generally have to use a planner to help me schedule out all my meetings and deadlines. The truth is, adults and children alike all want to wake up and start our day with familiar routines. Most of us find comfort in these daily routines. I know I look forward to that cup of coffee every morning. And adults and children alike all enjoy knowing what we can expect to happen each day. While my day might consist of different meetings and deadlines, my children are also balancing many different tasks, transitions, and activities. Yet routines and schedules are especially important for children with autism spectrum disorder. Using routines and schedules can reduce anxiety, help a child understand what to do, where to go, or how to do something, and can ultimately increase independence. Children with ASD are very routine oriented and thrive in a routine environment. They tend to enjoy waking up at the same time, or keeping their room the same way, or doing activities the same way and in the same order, and sometimes even eating the same thing or watching the same show over and over again. A child with ASD also enjoys routines out in the community and at preschool. This child might even find comfort in taking the exact same route when going to and from preschool or when running errands. Schedules also help a child with ASD feel calm in knowing what will happen next and help them transition between different activities. Transitioning can be difficult for children with ASD, and having a schedule can help ease that discomfort. Take a minute and think about your own family. What routines do you have for waking up in the morning, eating breakfast, getting dressed, running errands, playing outside, making dinner, or for bedtime? I bet you actually have a lot. Now take a minute and think about your child. What routines do you do together because your child still needs help? Does that include things like getting dressed or brushing teeth? What about routines or parts of routines that your child can do independently, like pouring their own cereal at breakfast or putting their own sock on while getting dressed? Make a list of these too. Are there things you wish your child could do on their own? Now think about schedules for a second. Does your child have access to a daily schedule? Do you have it hung up somewhere the child can see, like on the wall or near the front door or on the refrigerator? What about when your family leaves the house? Does your child have access to a portable schedule that they can take with them, even if they are in the car, at preschool, or at the park? If your family does not have regular routines, or if your child is struggling to complete routines independently, or if your child does not have a schedule, you'll want to watch the following videos from VCU ACE. From breakfast to bedtime, what children learn through routines. Use what works, teaching routines. Let's make a schedule. A day in the life, maintaining routines and schedules during difficult times.
Okay. Let me just get out of this and go back. Okay, the only thing with this share feature, here we go. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna flip back here really quick and copy this. So I'm gonna put welcome. And I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you could sometime during the session, click on it and fill it out. It's just so that we can give you credit for attending will let your child's teacher know that you attended.
And then I also, right below the link, I put a survey. If you could do that at some point, you could click on it now and complete it later on. But that's just so we can get a bit of a baseline of what you're bringing to the table for us.
And just a quick reintroduction, because you're a little bit late. My name is April Henley. I'm one of the social workers at Stoudemire, and I've been working at Stoudemire since 2012. Go ahead, Amy.
And I'm Amy, Amy Coatsworth. I am also a social worker at Stoudemire and at our alternative high school. I am new to the schools, but I am coming from more of a medical background. So I was at University of Michigan Hospital as well as Children's Hospital. And April and I have 2 different age kids. So I am at the young end. I have a 1-year-old girl, and April has a senior and a 9th grader.
Yep.
Cover the whole
We
thing.
cover the whole spectrum there. Yep. So, all right. So we'll move on. So a lot of people use the term routines and schedules to mean the same thing. And they do, but they don't. So a schedule is actually like your entire day written down. It's kind of like what you use for work, your calendar to schedule all your appointments. And they're used to help organize the day. Routines are actually the steps of a small portion of the schedule written down. So like what you do at bedtime, or a specific chore routine, or a morning routine.
Yep.
So,
and there's a lot of reasons as to why we would have schedules or routines for our kids, and just kind of in general. So for our kids, it can help them feel safe. It helps kind of with transitions. It teaches them about boundaries. It makes them more confident and less anxious because they know what's coming for them. Just like all of us as adults like to not really be surprised by what's happening next. Kids are the exact same thing, or the exact same way. And it also teaches them, what they have to do, what's expected of them. And it helps them kind of feel rewarded, that, they're able to help because they're doing the same thing over and over. So it kind of helps them perfect some different chores and tasks.
okay. All right. So here are what we kind of talked about are probably some of the best options for the age group that you could do for routines or schedules. Now on the screen right here is just a picture I found online of a sample daily schedule. And really they can be printed like this. They can be handwritten. You can do a full day schedule or a part day schedule. So you could do, this one is an entire day schedule, or especially for the older children that are in school all day. If you have older children, you could do a part day schedule that starts from when they get home from school until about bedtime. It can be a whole family schedule, or it can be an individual child schedule. Really, especially for this age group, the most important thing I think to do is to include pictures along with the words, because those are pre-reading skills. Our birth to age 5 generally cannot read yet, or they can read some words as they get into the late preschool, pre-kindergarten stage. So having the pictures is important, because then they know, if they can't read the words, for example, get dressed and brush teeth, then they know by this picture of a shirt and a toothbrush that that's what they're supposed to do. So those are really great pre-literacy skills. They can be fixed on the form, or they can be removable. And I'll show you some examples of that. These ones are fixed on the form, and then there's a little spot to check off. A lot of kids really like to be interactive with their schedule. So something that they can check or something that they can take off makes them more excited to do a routine or schedule. They can be clip art. The pictures can be hand drawn, and you can actually even take real photos of your child doing those things and put them on their routine. And one of the other most important things is to hang them where everyone can see. So you need to hang the schedule, especially if it involves your children, where that particular child can see it. If you hang it up at your eye level and you have a 2-year-old, they're not going to get into learning a routine or schedule or be interested in it if they can't see it. So some tips if you're going to do an entire day schedule. So you don't need to put every single second on the schedule. You just need to figure out the most important areas of the day and put them down in the same order. Like if you get up and get dressed before you have breakfast, then you should put that before breakfast. If you get up and have breakfast and then you get dressed, that should be the same order every day. Because that's where you get the kids to be confident. They learn to be confident and they know what's coming next. So you need to be consistent in following the schedule, no matter where you're at or who is watching or interacting with the children. So if you're out of town and you're visiting someone and you have nap time in the afternoon, you probably should have nap time in the afternoon. And ideally, every caregiver that is important in that child's life, both parents, a grandparent, a babysitter, daycare, should follow the same schedule. But you do, as children learn the schedules, you do want to allow for a little flexibility because it does teach them to learn to adapt. So for example, there are times if you have a doctor's appointment, if you can only get into the doctor at 1 p.m. and that's when you normally go for nap time, as children learn the schedules, you'll be able to have that little bit of flexibility to push the nap time back a little bit. So to teach them how to adapt, change up where you eat lunch. If you normally eat lunch at the table, then eat lunch, have a picnic in the living room, or, have a picnic, a bed picnic, or outside, or change the toys out once a month. Especially our kiddos, they seem to have a lot of toys. So if you keep some away and then you change them out once a month, it's like Christmas every month because they get new toys that they forgot about. Change their books, little changes like that. That's not going to make your children upset, but it teaches them that you can change the schedule and it's still okay. And you're going to need to revisit schedules, the daily schedules, and make changes. So you want to stick with your basic schedule for at least a few weeks before making changes, sometimes longer. It can take up to a month before kids really get that down, especially the younger they are. So here is some other examples of schedules. Just responding here to the chat. So this schedule is actually another daily schedule. This schedule has removable pictures. They're just put on there with the little Velcro. And you can actually buy that Velcro at most craft places. It's just sticky Velcro. They're little circles or little squares. And what's great about this schedule right here on the left is that when the child gets dressed, they can take it off. And sometimes, and I had a different example of a schedule, but the picture was blurry, but you can get like a little basket and hang it underneath the schedule. So when they're done, they can take it off and put it in the basket. And then the schedule on the right is actually one that I made 2 years ago for a family that I was working with. And this is actually an after school schedule so on the left. And then they were also working on identifying feelings right here and working on some behavior modification because a few of the children were very physically aggressive towards themselves and other people when they were angry. So we were working on not only having the schedule, but working on feelings and behaviors. Now, this is an example of a schedule for a child that's a little bit more toward the preschool age and might be ready for that more advanced be able to do 2 or 3 things at once. Some of our younger kids, one thing at a time is all they can really learn to handle at first. All right, so we have another video on routines, actually, why they're important. And then I'll turn it over to Amy and she can go over routines.
You click on it, April. Perfect.
Yep. Make sure the sound is working.
Hey guys, Ray Fitzgerald here. Got a question for you.
Oh, did I pause it?
When
Sorry.
you woke up this morning, did you put together a game plan on how you were going to brush your teeth and wash your face and get ready to start the day? Chances are you probably didn't. And that's because you've done all of those things so many times that they're a routine now. They're a habit. You can kind of turn your brain onto autopilot and let your subconscious handle those things because you don't need to have input on them. Our children need these same sorts of routines with just about everything in their life, not just with getting ready for school in the morning. Routines are important not just for high school students or not just for elementary school students. They work for toddlers, they work for infants, they work for newborns. Any child of any age needs routine. And that's because it adds some normalcy to their life. It gives them a little power over their situation. They know what's going to happen. There aren't going to be any surprises. Also, children have very small spatial awareness about time. If you tell a child you have 30 minutes to complete a task, chances are they don't know how long 30 minutes is. It's not something they're used to doing. Some of them might not even be able to tell time yet, so they don't know, okay, that's 30 minutes. That's moving 6 spots on the clock. It doesn't work like that for children. They're just kind of around and you tell them when to start and you tell them when to finish. By creating a routine, something that you do every day and you stick to a certain time limit, your child begins to understand how long certain amounts of time are. They can plan accordingly. They can improve their time management skills because they know, okay, if this is how much time I have, this is the way that I need to schedule my activity to make sure it's finished in enough time. These are all very important things, and they're things that they're going to use not just in their childhood, not just in high school or college, but beyond, well into retirement. It's very important that we all have very good routines. It's very important that we all have good time management skills, and we learn that when we're young. It's very hard to overwrite bad behaviors if we're programmed and hardwired at a young age to do the wrong thing. If you're ready to start having your child do the right thing, then if you're on the story, keep reading below. If not, click the link in the description. I promise you, you're going to find some things in here that you can take and implement to your life and start seeing results almost immediately. But remember, good routines are just habits. And scientific studies have shown that habits take at least 66 consecutive days of doing before they get ingrained in our brain and become a true habit. So, when you're ready to start your 66 days, let me know because I'm here to help you out. I want to help you raise a legendary child, and I can't wait to get started.
All right. That's just him promoting his business. It was a good video though. That's why I like it. All right.
All right, so perfect. So, with routines, I've been much more cognizant of my routines since April and I've decided to do this. So speaking for myself, I have routines all the time. I have more routines than I ever thought I've had. And it makes me feel when I do them, it makes me feel like, oh, everything's good, everything's okay. But like he said, it's kind of just we do them and we don't really think about it. Whereas our kids, they're not going to naturally do this. So this is something that we can help build some more stability for them so that they can wake up and know exactly what's going to be going on. Or before going to bed, they can just help them feel a little bit more calm. So what a routine, the difference between the routine and the schedule is for a longer span of time. It's for doing multiple things throughout either the day or the half day, whereas routine is for one specific event. So you can have multiple routines all throughout the day for different things. So you have a whole schedule, and then within the schedule, you have routines. So having a bedtime routine or having an after school routine. So bedtime routine really helps prepare the child to know, okay, bedtime is coming up. It can really help those kids who don't love certain times of the day. So a lot of time bedtime is a problematic time for kids. They get a little bit anxious about having to end the day. The day's been so fun. Sleep sounds so boring as a kid, even though all of us parents would just love if someone could be like, hey, you need to sleep for the next 10 hours. We'd be like, great, perfect, sign me up. But with kids, it sounds really boring. So it can help get that transition a little bit better. One way we can do it is by making it more interactive and making it interesting to look at. So just like schedules, and we'll show you examples, you can having it up and having a picture of it really helps prep the child for, okay, so I just brushed my teeth. Now it's time for me to put on my pajamas. Now it's time, and it helps kind of do the step by step. And then the best way also, like we always say as parents, is it's the best to show the kids through our own examples, through modeling by our own behavior, how the routine goes. So it takes maybe a week or so of you prompting every single step of the routine. Okay, so now let's brush our teeth. And you both are at the counter at the sink brushing your teeth together, and then moving on to the next step. And trying not to fall asleep in their bed, because I know at the end of the day, we would like to fall asleep in their bed. But showing every step of the routine. The more consistent you are with the routine, the better it is. So and the better it is long-term. So even let's say you're having a really tough night and it's just temper tantrum after temper tantrum, still being consistent with that routine, kind of gritting those teeth and saying in your head, like, oh man, this is a really tough night, but knowing it's really important to get through those tough nights, because then when you start it the next day and do the same routine, your child will see, okay, so this is going to be a normal thing. And a lot of times it can really help ease those temper tantrums. So, yep. So here's a great example of what a routine could look like. So what I love about this is you have one kind of, I call like the yellow sheet, like the routine kind of like guide almost, and you can switch out your routine. So there's multiple pieces of paper and different pictures and labels and all that. So you can switch it out throughout the day, and you can switch it on that yellow sheet. So if you're having multiple routines throughout the day, you can switch out that yellow sheet. So in the morning before your child wakes up, or the night before, you put up that routine that's going to be for the morning. And then once you've gotten through that, then you can do the same thing, switch out those cards, put out what you need for maybe a nap or the bedtime routine.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah. Yep. So here's another one. So I always, just like April was saying, where the child can remove from the schedule, remove once a task has been done and put it in the basket. I feel that when the child can be interactive with whatever it is, they're way more engaged. And they find it as like a reward, where for us, we're like, okay, great, we'll just move that piece of paper. But for them, that's really exciting. They get to kind of like, be in control over what's happening. So this bedtime routine that's on the left is fantastic, because they can just pull it down. So they're all pulled down, I'm sorry, and then they push it up and it shows that it's done. Yes, Tanisha.
Where do you get those from? I like the schedule, so they can see, so they can have a visual.
Yeah. So a lot of times using clip art. So a lot of these are made like DIY type made from the little things you have at home. The clip art one, so kind of the one above the sink, or the one that April has shown and that I have shown, using clip art. If you type in anything on Microsoft Word, or even on, because the kids are given the access on like Google.
If you do Google and click on images, you can often find little
images.
Yeah.
Yep. And
this
then
one right here on the screen, I actually made last year for a student. they were having an issue with bedtime, so I sent this home. And all of this yellow paper is literally cardstock.
Yeah. And that's what most of the stuff is on cardstock, just it's a little
Yeah.
bit
This one looks like cardstock
that stuff is
too,
cardstock.
or it could be, I've seen them done with manila folders because they're already folded.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then you just
So-
cut the,
And what this is, I'm guessing, is those are little magnets because they're good at continuing to be reused. The Velcro
Right.
is good too, but sometimes the Velcro can wear out a little bit.
Mhm.
Whereas the magnets they have these very thin magnets. You can get them just like
magnet tape, just the same thing at like, yeah.
any craft store, and I
Mhm.
believe also at Meijer. I can't speak for Walmart, but I know at Meijer you can get the little Velcros. So the great thing about this is that the routine is right where everything you need, everything you're doing. So this is a hand washing routine. So it goes over what do we do at the sink. And it's great because it's a reminder right there. Okay, look, we're doing step by step. What does the next step say? Yes, Tanisha.
Oh, I didn't raise it again, but no, I'm just
Oh.
looking at the, yeah, it's not taking it down.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, I think the routines and the visuals are a great idea. And then I like how they have it there where it's like at eye level,
Yeah.
so they can always see
Yeah.
what needs to be done, and you can try to teach them how to associate the images with the task. I think that's a
It's
great idea, actually. I want to try it, but I'm not as crafty.
It's
So
crafty.
Well, and Tanisha, we can, actually, I think I can probably put something together for you. If you, send me the steps that you do through the bedtime routine. I mean, I know we briefly talked about it, but
Mhm.
we can talk about it and I can probably put something together for you.
Okay. Should it be
And
more than
also
one
you can also
routine?
utilize your felt board too,
Okay.
if you need to, because you only use that twice a week for ACT. So use it other times of the week too if you need to put pictures up.
Okay. And then should there be more than one routine? Because when I did the survey, they said in the survey, do you have at least one routine that you follow daily, right? Which is I do one routine daily, which is his bedtime routine.
That's it.
But as
Yeah.
far as other routines throughout the day, it's kind of
Yeah.
like
I think for Christian's situation and his age, you should probably stick with just the bedtime routine for now.
okay.
And then as he learns that, you can add more.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the big thing with the routine is I would try to stick with them mastering one routine at a time. It seems like to us this seems like normal and easy, but of course to a child like this is a big thing. Also, what you were talking about with having those pictures eye level, I totally agree. Being eye level is fantastic, and also engaging them. So give it like a week or two of every time you're doing it, point to each picture. Okay, look, now we're doing this, now we're doing that, and letting them ask questions about them, letting them, be curious and interactive. That will really help engage them and then help them want to continue to do this. We can go to the next.
It'll also help, especially for Christian, Tanisha, it'll also help him when he goes to school next year, when he's actually in preschool, because a lot of the preschools in the preschool that he's probably going to end up at, they use pictures for all of their routines. And so he'll already be familiar with that, which is why we do some of that in ACT too. So you're actually, by doing this, you're giving him a head start.
Yep.
All right.
So, let me make sure I'm not jumping on yours.
I can't remember.
Can't even if I'm holding it up.
Oh, this one's yours.
Okay, let's say that. So, so important things is just like what we were just saying is that you need to do this multiple times before the children are going to be able to understand and do it on their own. Remember to have patience with them. Remember that it may take us one or two times to kind of get a routine, but think about all the times we slip when it comes to routines and schedules. Like for a perfect example, working out. I know very few people who work out the way we want to work out, but we give ourselves grace and patience and all of that. It's important to do that too with kids. But remaining consistent is really, really important. It shows them that even if there's a rush night or a bad night or an off night or anything like that, if you remain consistent, then it'll show them that, okay, we still can fit in our small routines, or we still can kind of follow the schedule while still being flexible, like what April had talked about with switching things up a little bit. The more consistent you are, the faster they will learn what to do. So if you consistently really dedicate a couple weeks of doing it over and over and over, there's a really high chance that they're going to, by that end of second, going to third week, that they're going to really be getting the hang of it. A big thing, and sometimes I ooze too much positivity, but really ooze that positivity. Make it fun, make it exciting. If they see that you're happy and you're ready to do this, and oh my gosh, it's so great, you just completed your first routine, way to go, they're going to much more want to participate. It'll become like a really fun activity for them instead of a chore. And that's a big thing you want to differentiate. This isn't a chore, this is something to help them. And so let's just make it a fun, exciting time for them. And just like Tanisha, I think it's great what April said of, with Christian, you're working with doing one schedule or one routine. And it's so easy for us that once we're like, oh, this feels good, let's do 10 more of the same thing in different ways. That can be very overwhelming to kids. So giving them a little routine, one at a time, starting with maybe a half day schedule, or doing a full day schedule, but having it be small, having it be obtainable things that you notice. And one thing that I think is really important before you put together your schedule or your routine is taking at least a few days, if not a week or more, to observe so for your schedule, observe what's normal for you guys to be doing. Make sure you jot those down and jot them down for a few days in a row so you can really see, oh, this is kind of a schedule we have going. And for a routine, look at what you want completed for that specific time. So perfect example, bedtime. What do you feel is needed to have a successful bedtime? And so that way you can see, is this obtainable? Is this something I can actually do? Or am I giving my kid 15 different tasks before bedtime? That's a lot. We don't even, us as adults don't do that. So, really doing kind of your homework as a parent and then creating it for the children.
All right. That's the end. So time for any more questions. I will say, specific to you, Tanisha, you've already done that writing down of the stuff for a few weeks, and then we've already looked at your schedule in terms of bedtime and already started discussing routines. So now you are at the point that we can take those next steps and actually create a visual routine for him. So you're a little bit of a step ahead because we've been working together already, you and I and your teacher, Kim. So our next meeting next month, just before we ask for any other questions, is Tuesday, February 23rd at 1. And we're actually going to talk about how to get those kids to follow your directions. So that's a big one. So we hope that if you have been here in person today, you come back, and we hope that anyone watching the recording also comes next month in February. Did you have any other questions, Tanisha?
No, you guys did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Right, so what did you what I will do, Tanisha, since you and I and Kim are already working together on Christian's routine, is I will look at the notes that we did when we met last week, and I will pull out what we talked about, exactly what your routine is before you go to bed. And I will start kind of writing it down and looking at a type of schedule, and then you and I can talk further tomorrow. I'll touch base with you a little bit tomorrow in ACT and see if that's kind of like the way you want to go with it. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, perfect. Because Kim took notes that day, so we can create you a visual schedule from that.
Okay.
Did you want
Thank
something
you.
that he can, just a quick question, did you want something that he can pull off with Velcro, or did you want something that folds like that one example?
That one that folds probably be better for him. just
Okay,
because-
so you don't lose any pieces?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's why the beauty of having so many options is you can create something that works, and the routine may work, but your schedule, however you have it, may not. And it may just mean, it doesn't mean that the routine or the schedule's not working. It just means that maybe you need to have it on a different format, so, but yeah, we'll make you one that folds so that you don't lose any of the smaller pieces, like, because the removable pictures sometimes, yes, there is a chance that they might get lost.
Yeah, and he likes to try to play with them even when we're in group. I have to put them behind me or over to the side because he thinks they're
Yes.
toys to play with. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
no.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, I'll look at the schedule and touch base with you tomorrow.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions? I know you've sat through this slideshow a couple times now, so.
No, it was great and I enjoyed it as well, just because it's just really important for me and my family to make sure that we have a schedule and a routine, something that's gonna work for Christian. So I know we spent a great deal of time on it last week, and we've been implementing those things that you guys wrote down for us, trying to be as consistent as possible, just so it can be easier for the whole household as a whole.
And like we said before, I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna stop recording because we're pretty much done. Hold on.